I have tried everything: Pomodoro, waking up early, remove distractions, listen to focus music, yada yada yada. It doesn't work. That's because I found out there's a deeper problem that's killing me and possibly your focus that no one is talking about. The worst part is, people actually think it's the right way to work. At the end of the video, I'm gonna give you my full focus framework. I know, clever name, that actually works to help me fully focus deeply. But first, let me tell you a story. So for the past couple of months, I've tried to focus deeply on this YouTube channel. But as you can see from my upload schedule, doesn't really work out. And that was because I had a lot of other big tasks that I had to do. I ain't gonna lie with y'all, those tasks may be silly to y'all, but for me it's really important, okay? I'm a very sentimental guy and I like to game with my friends and then record it and then edit all of those gameplays so I can look back at it in like the next 50 years. I also like to record the highlights of the days of the month and then edit it into a compilation of a monthly vlog, so to speak. And again, for the same reason that in the next 50 years I can look back at it, what I exactly did on, let's say, August 2024 or something. And because I'm sentimental but also very like tech savvy, I also wanted to back up my whole entire mobile gallery with like a 3-to-1 backup system, and I want to like label everything and stuff like that. It's a lot, okay? And because I had so many big tasks, I thought that, you know what, I'm gonna try to do like everything all at the same time. Try to like multitask. Because in my head, it sounded logical. If I can multitask, so do multiple tasks at the same time, then that means that I would be more efficient. And honestly, in theory, that's true. If you can do multiple tasks at the same time, then in theory, you should be more efficient because you're doing multiple tasks at the same time. And so one day I tried to like work on task A, and then on the other day I tried to work on task B, and the other day task C, and so back and forth. And the thing is, if it's a small task, then that could very possibly work quite well, because you can actually like finish that task on the day that you planned it to. But the problem was that my tasks were so big that I actually couldn't finish it on the day that I planned to work on it. And this really backfired because that's the complete opposite of being efficient, because now my brain is kind of like overclocking, so to speak. Every time I was working on, let's say, task C, my mind was still clogged up with the things that I had to do that I didn't finish on task A and B. And this all happened because I thought like, yeah, multitasking, try to do everything at the same time, yeah, it would be efficient. Well, I guess not. And that realization really happened when I read a book called Deep Work by Cal Newport. It's really an amazing book. I would definitely recommend y'all to read it. And in one part of the book, he was talking about something called attention residue. And that's when I found out that that's exactly the problem that I had been facing. Attention residue is what happens when you switch from one task to the other, but part of your mind stays stuck on the first initial task. So let's say, for instance, you write an important report, and then you switch to email or something, and you react to an email that you got from someone, and then you go back to work on that important report. Well, then part of your brain still thinks about that email, even though that you've already responded on it. And so intenser the task at hand and the task you switch to, the thicker that attention residue is. But in all honesty, all interruptions, it doesn't matter if it's a big one or a small one, they leave some kind of like mental attention residue behind. That then reduces your focus and your creativity. And that was the exact reason why I couldn't focus as deeply as I wanted to. I tried to do everything all at the same time, thinking that if I would work on different days on different tasks, that it would be fine. Because it was not like I was like switching from 1 minute to the other on the other task. No, I was like leaving like actual big gaps, literal days in between. But because the tasks were so big, even a day between the tasks still gave a lot of attention residue. But I found a solution, and I did that by following the focus framework that I created. So what does the focus framework actually stand for? Well, it means filter your task, organize into deep and shallow, commit to one main quest, uninterrupt the time block, and switch only after completion. So we go to the first step, and that is filter your tasks. Begin by writing down literally every task that you have to complete. It doesn't matter if it's big or small, urgent or not, just write everything down. The goal really is to get everything out of your head and have like a clear system of everything that you need to do. This also prevents like random thoughts and tasks that you have to do from hijacking your focus later on. Then we go on to the second step, and that is organizing to deep and shallow work. So now that you have all your tasks that you had to do in step 1, now what you're going to do is you're going to organize it and divide it in between two different lists. The first list will be your deep work list, or as I like to call it, because I love gaming, the main quest. These are high leverage important tasks that require the absolute most focus and actually get the ball moving forward, that move your life and move your business. The other list will be your shallow work. or as I like to call it, because I love gaming, the side quests. These are like smaller, less impactful tasks. Things that need to get done, but don't really change your life in any significant way. And it's not really like a big problem if you like delay them. They're like more about maintenance rather than actual progress. Now we go to step 3, and that is commit to one main quest. And as the name implies, just choose one of those main quests right here. It honestly doesn't really matter what you pick because all the tasks in the main quest are like important tasks. So just pick the one that feels like the absolute most important or like the biggest priority. This becomes your main quest until you've finished it. And so the rule then is you do not switch to another main quest until you've completed this one. Why? Well, because switching between deep tasks create a thicker attention residue, making you less affected to work on a task at hand. But then, Muzafir, what about your side quests? They still have to be done, right? Then we go over to the 4th step, and that is the uninterrupted time block. Set a daily time frame to focus on your main task. This will be like your deep work block. Make it realistic, but also challenging. It should stretch your capacity without you burning out. I can't really give you an exact time frame of how many hours a day you should work on it because it's really personal. It's highly dependent on how busy you are and how many time you can put on your deep work block. Let's say you're like a really busy person. For instance, you have a 9 to 5 and you're also married and you have kids and you need to go to the gym, stuff like that. Well, obviously, like you're only gonna have like 1 to 2 hours maybe to work on your deep work block. But let's say, for instance, if you run a business and the growth of your business is highly dependent on like the deep work blocks, well, then obviously you can like work on 4 hours or on 6 hours on your deep work block. And then only after you have finished working on your deep work block, then you can work on your side quests. This really just sets your priorities straight. It's way easier to just check off a lot of side quests that don't really have a lot of leverage, but just kind of feel satisfying to check off and feel like you're productive and you're busy, rather than working on like actual hard and deep tasks that really move the needle. And then for the last step, you have switch only after completion. Only after you have finished one of your main quests, you can move on to the next main quest. This is to keep the attention residue at its absolute minimum. Because don't get me wrong, you're still gonna get attention residue from it just from the simple fact of switching from one task to another. Even if you've already finished the task, like when I told you about the email example where even if you respond to an email and then go back to your report, the mind still subconsciously think about that email, even though you have consciously moved on from it. But even though that you will get attention residue, it's better to keep it at an absolute minimum by at least finishing the task. So your mind at least doesn't consciously think about it, thus reducing attention residue at its absolute minimum. Thank you for listening, I hope this helped, bye bye.